Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us for the Cam 2 firmware version 115.2. Like I said earlier, my name's Ari Trigger, and it'll be about 40 minutes long, and we've got some exciting features that I want to show you, so let's get started. Okay, so our first feature is going to focus on hybrid light cameras. So for those of you who don't know, hybrid light cameras are equipped with two types of illuminators for night vision. So first off, we got infrared or IR LEDs, which provide black and white images in low light conditions. And we've also got white LEDs, which enable full color imaging at night. The term hybrid light refers to the physical attribute of the camera's illumination hardware. Our hybrid cameras offer flexible night vision options based on the user preferences and environmental needs. These options are managed through different illumination mode settings. Users have the option to select white LED mode, where the camera relies solely on white LED illumination to provide continuous color at night images. Alternatively, you can choose infrared or IR mode, which keeps night images in black and white by using the infrared LEDs only. And we have smart supplement light mode. In this mode, when no object is detected in the field of view, the camera uses infrared IR LEDs, which will obviously provide us black and white images. However, when the AI detects an object, the white LEDs turn on, allowing for full color at night images. And when the object is no longer detected, it switches back to IR mode. And this is a great moment or great time to remind you that hybrid light is gradually being integrated into all Provision ISR camera series and will eventually become a standard feature across our entire IP camera lineup. So this includes everything, sorry, everything from our entry-level B sites to our mid-range S sites and to our high-end R site series, which will ensure that all users of Provision ISR benefit from the flexible and intelligent night vision capabilities. Now, for this reason, we wanted to make it even easier for users to control hybrid light settings. With the Cam 2, or with the latest Cam 2 update, should I say, we are introducing the ability to manage these illumination settings on all hybrid light cameras directly through the Cam 2 application. So this gives you quick and easy access to adjust your camera's night vision preferences anytime, anywhere, from the convenience of your pocket. Let's take a look at this quick video to see how it actually works. So for this demonstration, I'm going to be using a hybrid light S-Sight camera. And in order to access the illumination settings, we can tap on the window once to bring up the image settings icon. After we select it, we're going to be presented with a new illumination option icon. When we open it, it's going to give us the ability to switch between the different illumination modes. So by default, we are in smart supplement light mode, where, like I said, the infrared is used for black and white imaging, and the white LED activates when an object is detected. If we click on the drop-down menu, it will reveal both other options, the white light mode and the infrared mode. If we select white light mode, first of all, we can manually turn on the white light on and off based on a schedule. So let me just go back slightly. And we can adjust the LED strength as well. If we set the white LED to automatic, then it will turn on the white LED when there's low ambient light. And of course, we could disable the white LED entirely. Okay, so let me jump forward. Sorry, I could let it play. I just wanted to move forward a little bit, but there seems to be something wrong with the video. Okay, so now if we choose infrared mode, you can disable the entirely. You can also set it to automatic, so when it'll turn on during when the ambient light is low, or we can enable it permanently for continuous black and white night vision. We also have the ability to turn on and off smart IR and also adjust the sensitivity of the smart IR as well. So if you're familiar with our NVR or camera settings, you'll notice that these options mirror the settings available on the devices themselves, making it easier than ever to manage illumination directly on our Cam2 application. So I put together a flowchart summarizing the illumination settings we've just covered. I know for some, including myself, taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture can really help with the understanding. I'm not going to go through it one by one now, but this flowchart will be included in the presentation that you're going to receive later, so you can review it at your earliest convenience. An improved feature with the Cam2 firmware version 115.2 is the updated interface for voice broadcasting when using either the NVR or an RPC with audio outputs. Now, instead of two voice broadcast icons serving different purposes, there's only one voice broadcast icon. This versatile button enables voice broadcasting functionality for either the current active viewing window or the NVR's audio output. Let's have a look at how it works. So for those of you familiar with our Cam2 app, you'll remember the voice broadcast button located at the bottom left of the screen. In previous Cam2 versions, enabling this button would only broadcast audio through the NVR's audio output. If you wanted to broadcast voice through an RPC channel, you had to manually select the voice broadcast icon within the viewing window of that specific channel. But with firmware version 115.2, we've simplified voice broadcasting into one universal button. Now, when you select the mic icon on the bottom left, you'll be prompted to choose between the NVR's audio output, which is labeled as Tech Room, and the active channel's audio output, which is the BMH thermal camera. If you select a viewing channel that does not support voice broadcasting, or voice broadcasting is not enabled on that RPC, you will be presented still with the NVR option. However, the camera option will appear grayed out, indicating that this feature is not available or has not been enabled on the RPC. So with Cam2 firmware version 115.2, voice broadcasting is now simpler than ever. One button, two options, seamless control over your NVR and RPC audio outputs. I want to turn our attention to NVR triggers for a second. Our NVRs offer a wide variety of triggers that all of you are very aware that you can configure to react to specific events. So I'm not going to go through them all, but the NVR can send push notifications, emails, snapshots, video pop-ups, outputs on NVR, outputs on cameras as well. We can configure PTZ to go to presets, and the most recent updates is we can control to activate our audio and light on our active deterrence cameras. And the most recent is we can activate a custom message through our RP horn speaker. But what if you need to temporarily disable some of these triggers? So for example, we're currently working on a project in Ghana involving solar antennas. Each solar antenna site has an NVR and two cameras. The client mentioned that when security personnel arrive in the morning, they want to use an app to open an access control gate. What they would like to achieve is that during this process, all notifications from the NVR and cameras are temporarily disabled, essentially functioning like disarming an alarm system. And on top of that, they want to also receive a push notification once the process has been completed. For those of you not familiar with IMVR or not familiar with a feature called Burglar Alarm, IMVRs have a function called Burglar Alarm. And when this feature is enabled, you can set specific camera triggers to automatically become active or inactive based on the NVR's Burglar Alarm. or based on the state, should I say, of the NVR's burglar alarm. However, previously, users were not notified when the NVR burglar alarm was armed or disarmed. Now, with firmware version 115.2, any user connected to the NVR will now receive notifications whenever the burglar alarm state is changed. And I want to go and show you on a video how this works. So there are many methods to arm and disarm the burglar alarm function on the NVR, but we're going to use the Cam2 application, which is on the left-hand side of your screen, to change the state of the burglar alarm to either arm or disarm. In order to do so, we're just going to simply swipe left to reveal the virtual arming button. And when the burglar alarm state is changed, like I said, all users connected to the NVR will receive a push notification informing them of the change. So this is shown on by the phone on the right-hand side. Notifications will display with the burglar alarm status, example armed, and it also specify which NVR has changes or which NVR the changes relate to. Naturally, you also want to receive notifications when the system is disarmed, so you'll get that as well. And like any notifications you receive from our Cam2 app, they're all interactive and can be clicked, which will take you directly to the relevant notification in the app. And from there, you can view a full history of the alarm events. So now you can stay informed with instant push notifications straight to your device, keeping you updated on every single burglar alarm status change. I know a few of you guys were waiting for this, so it's here. Okay. Before we move on to the next feature, I just want to remind everyone about binding devices to the Cam2 application. When you bind a device, you're actually binding the device to a Cam2 user account, which also comes with several key benefits. So first, it enhances security by giving you complete control over who can access your devices, which I've got an explanation coming up shortly. And second, when you bind a device to a Cam2 account, it gets linked to the ProVision cloud. And what this means is that if you ever change or lose your phone, you simply download or reinstall the Cam2 app, sign into your Cam2 user account, and all the devices will instantly sync. There's no need to set them up again on your application. So I want to explain how do we actually bind a device to your Cam2 account, or remind you how do we bind a device to our Cam2 account. And before we bind a device, you must create and be signed into a Cam2 user account. That's number one on the application side. Number two, you need to go to the device's network settings and scan the QR code. As we are signed into the Cam2 account, the app will prompt you to enter a security code by default. To retrieve a security code from the NVR or any other device, such as our Intercom, you're going to click the eye icon, and the system is going to prompt you to enter a username and password. Once you enter it, the security code will be revealed. Then what you do is you enter the security code into the application, and the device will then bind to your Cam2 user account through the ProVision ISR cloud. Once it's bound, or once the bounding is complete, you become the owner of this device. And as the owner, only you can share the device with other Cam2 registered users. For those who have never created a Cam2 user account or bound a device, this is a short tutorial. It's under 2 minutes long. It explains the entire process. It's that quick to create an account and bind. I'm not going to go through it now, but you'll be able to access it again. Also, this when you receive a copy of the presentation by email later on today. So now that I've explained device binding, the next features apply only to bound devices. And I'm going to begin by exploring one of its key advantages, which is greater control over sharing permissions. As the device owner, you have full control over what channels to share and how other Cam2 users interact with them. As a device owner, you can select specific cameras to share, decide whether the shared users can have access to live view, playback, and now with the latest firmware update version 1.15.2, you can customize even further. So this now includes choosing which cameras, which channels shared users can receive notifications, um, enabling or restricting two-way audio, as well as granting or limiting PTZ control for PTZ cameras. Now, let's take a look at how easy it is to manage bound devices. So, before we begin, I've already gone through the process and scanned the QR code and entered the security code, and I've bound an MVR to my Cam2 user account. So now I'm the owner of the device. As I'm the owner of the device, I can go to my server list, and I've got a sharing option or a sharing button or icon. Once I click on it, it's going to prompt me to share the device via either an email address or a phone number. This email address or phone number must be provided by the person that you are sharing the device with, and they would have registered a Cam2 user account with either their email address or their phone number. So depending on how they've enrolled a Cam2 user account, they will provide you this information. So for this example, I'm sharing it with Duty, who's enrolled with an email. Once I've inputted their information, I'm going to be presented with the device and all the cameras connected to the device. I can select all the cameras on the device, and then I've got further options. I can limit him for PTZ control on camera 1. I can limit him on playback on camera 1. I can do limit him on the PTZ function on the PTZ. I can stop him getting alarm notifications from the PTZ, or I can even disable his access completely, not even give him access to camera 5 and the Z5. However, whatever preferences I've selected, once I've clicked finish, Duty, person who I've shared the device with, will receive a notification, and he will need to reject or accept the device on his side. Now, let's say we've already shared the device, it's on Duty's profile. How do we manage shared devices? So me as the owner can go to the three dots under the server list, and we can go to sharing management. Once we're in sharing management, it's going to present us with all our devices that we have shared with other users. These are all bound devices that we have shared with other Cam2 users. All right. Once we select it, we can see exactly which cameras have been shared and to who we've shared them with. And if we need to revoke access or change permissions, we can select one individual camera, and we can either revoke specific actions, or we can cancel it entirely. And in this case, we're canceling it, and the camera will automatically be removed from Duty's application without any further intervention. So, binding the device offers you a level of customization where you can securely share and maintain complete control over who can do what on your system. All right. Still in the context of a bound device, historically, the shared user, in my example, Duty, would have had no control over push message notification settings. These were managed solely by the device owner, which would have been me in this case. If the device owner enabled notifications, all shared users would receive them as well. They had no way within their app to turn them off. So with the release of firmware version 1.15.2, this is all changed. Shared users now have the flexibility to enable or disable push message notifications independently within their Cam2 app, allowing them to customize their own alerts based on their own preferences, and most importantly, without affecting other connected users. Okay, hold on, everybody. This next feature is our biggest feature for this Cam2 app release. So please, I beg you to sit back, relax, and concentrate. It is in regards to our new Intercom integration. So, as many of you know, Provision ISR introduced its first intercom and indoor monitors in 2024. Since then, the Intercom has been a great success for us, thanks to its simple setup, its versatility as both an intercom and an access control device, and also from the positive feedback or positive user feedback we've been receiving. So originally, it was designed for residential buildings, for small offices or small businesses, small apartments, as it can call up to 8 main monitors or apartments, which ensures reliable and direct communication. Additionally to this, each main monitor or apartment can be paired with up to 5 extension monitors, allowing multiple points to ring simultaneously for even greater accessibility. But we have a new concept or a new architecture. The new architecture belongs to large-scale deployments, much more than just 8 apartments. For example, apartment buildings with 50 apartments, for an office building with 30 companies. Regardless of what it is, the bottom line is any application for more than 8 apartments. In this case, in this new architecture, we remove the usage of the monitors and we only use intercoms and Cam2 apps with firmware version 1.15.2 onwards. Basically, high level, the intercom can make direct calls to the Cam2 application without the need of any indoor monitors. Okay, I hope you're still following me. So I want to break it down by numbers and scale before I actually dive into how this works. Each intercom can call up to 1,000 offices or apartments. But as a quick side note, when we talk about apartments or offices, when we look at the app defines them as rooms. Just as a quick side note. And we can call up to 5 residents who have registered Cam2 accounts, can be linked to each apartment. So up to 5 residents with Cam2 registered accounts can be linked to each apartment's office, room, however you want to define it. This means a single intercom can call up to 5,000 residents directly on their Cam2 applications. So from 8 to 5,000, insane. I know it's a big jump. We're very excited about it, but there's more. I want to explain how does it work, and I want to break it down. When the intercom connects to the internet, it establishes a connection with the Provision ISR cloud. Meanwhile, the resident needs to download the Cam2 app and register a user account. As I explained, when a user account is created, it becomes associated with the Provision ISR cloud. The key concept to understand here is that both the intercom and the user account are linked to the Provision ISR cloud. All right, cool, awesome. So how do we program the intercom to call a specific app user? The programming is done through the Cam2 app, but before we can proceed, we need to ensure that the intercom is bound to a registered Cam2 account, which then that user becomes the owner of the device. And just to remind you, there can only be one single owner. So typically in this case, or in this application, this would be a managing agent, a building manager, an integrator, or somebody responsible for setup, configuration, and maintaining the intercom's calling database. Once the intercom is bound and an owner is established, a new menu option called Building and Residence will appear in the owner's app. This menu allows the owner to program the intercom with just a few simple steps. So the steps are as follows. First, we need to create a building. Once we create a building, we associate an intercom with it. Now that we've got a building with an associated intercom, we can begin creating rooms. Think of rooms as ring numbers. They define where the calls will actually be directed. And once the room is created, residents can be added by using their Cam2 user account credentials. Okay, after the system is programmed, here's how it works. When a visitor arrives, and dials a room number, the intercom communicates with the Provision ISR cloud, identifying the associated CAM2 user or users, and all residents linked to that room number on that intercom will then receive a call on their CAM2 application. I know that's a lot to take in, so I prepared a quick video, and once we've gone through it, I'm sure it will start making a lot more sense in reality. So let's play it. So you should note that I have already bound an intercom to this CAM2 user, meaning we're acting as the device owner. So to begin, we're going to open up the menu by clicking the icon in the top left corner. And here you're going to find the new building and residence menu. I want you to note that this menu will only appear in your app if you have an intercom that is bound. Okay. Once we select building and residence, we can begin step one, which is creating a new building. And also, so just for your interest, and I'm going to go through the numbers again after this video, you can create up to 100 buildings per CAM2 user account. Nevertheless, click Add to begin, add in a building. And when setting up a building, you're going to need to provide both a building name and a building number. Now, the building name and building number will need to be unique, so there's no repeat of the same data. And the system will prompt you if there is a duplication. Now that the building is created, you need to associate an intercom device with it. So we need to click on associated devices. Once we've done that, we're going to be presented, should I say, with a list of intercoms bound to this user's account that have not yet been assigned to a building. Okay. We can select the intercom you want to associate with this building, and we click OK. We'll confirm. We can click confirm again to save the changes. Now what we're looking at, or what we can see, are the details of the newly created building, and I want you to notice that the room quantity is currently at 0. So naturally, the next step in this process will be to create rooms. So to add a room, click on the back arrow to return to the previous screen. And on the screen, we can actually start adding rooms. Once again, to remind you, think of rooms as ring numbers. They determine where the calls will be directed. And you can create up to 1,000 rooms per intercom. So you can call up to 1,000 rooms, 1,000 numbers. Okay, so click Add to create a room. And the first thing you do is you assign a room number. In this case, I'm going to create room number 7. Once the room number is set, you can now begin to add residents by clicking on the plus button. And a reminder, each room can have up to 5 residents. So to invite a resident, you enter the CAM2 user details, either their email address or their cell number. It all depends on how they've registered their CAM2 account. So for example, I'm going to add my colleague Ilan to room number 7. Now, when somebody dials 7 from the intercom, the call will ring on Ilan's application. Here we can see the room number and its associated residents with all the building details. And let's go and add another room. This time, we're going to create a room with the number 101. And we're going to add multiple residents this time. So I'm going to add myself, and I'm going to add Judy, so that when someone dials 101 from the intercom, the call will ring both on both Judy's and my CAM2 apps. That's associated to room 101. And this is a complete or quick overview of what we've set up. Now let's go and see it in action. So when we dial unit 7 on the intercom keypad, it will ring this phone, which is associated to Ilan. And when we dial 101, it's going to ring both these phones simultaneously, which these phones are associated to Duty and myself. So when a visitor arrives at the keypad, he'll dial the unit number followed by the call button, and it will push through a call to the Cam2 application within a second or so. Now let's dial 101, which will ring both Duty and my phones simultaneously. Whoever answers will cut the other person's call immediately. You can begin talking, and if you want to see who's there or open up a gate, you can enter the application straight from the call, where you can obviously get a visual of the person who's standing in front of the intercom, as well as open either of the locks. And then obviously hang up when you need to. So this is making a call directly from the intercom to the application with 0 indoor monitors required. I just want to run through the numbers very quickly because I did mention individual numbers per intercom at the beginning. And then during the video, I explained that if you use a Cam2 user account and you bind intercoms, the numbers actually drastically increase. So let's have a look at them. So there's one device owner, should I say, who will be able to create and maintain the intercom dialing database. This owner can create up to 100 buildings per their Cam2 account. And if you consider that each building can handle 1,000 rooms, and each room can handle 5 residents, in essence, one Cam2 user can effectively create and maintain up to 500,000 residents in total, which is an insane amount of people. If you think about it, I don't see anyone realistically having a project this size. But just know when you quote on the solution, you should never be limited by the number of residents that we can call. And I'm sure you can tell this is a major update for the app in the intercom. So we've created not only new firmware for the Cam2 app, but the intercom is also receiving a new firmware. So first of all, the Cam2 app will require this firmware version we're talking about, firmware version 1.15.2, and any firmware onwards. And the intercom will require firmware version 5.1.1.0, 61967. And as Ami mentioned, the Cam2 app is estimated to be released to the public in roughly 2 weeks. So we plan to release the intercom firmware at the very same time. So please look out for the webinar release invite that should be coming into your inbox anytime soon. Please join us for the intercom firmware release because there are a lot more exciting features related to the intercom. So please look out for it. We've almost finished, I promise you. But this is the last topic related to the intercom, but we are almost finished the presentation. Our intercoms are equipped with 2 relays, allowing them to unlock 2 separate doors. In previous versions of our Cam2 application, there was only one unlock button, which activated both relays simultaneously. With the release of version 1.15.2, users now have independent control over each lock, which means you can open up each door separately, providing even greater flexibility and improved access control management directly from our application. With the release of NVR firmware version 1.4.12, we've introduced the ability to set user-specific schedules. So if a user attempts to log in outside their assigned schedule, their access is going to be denied. Additionally, with the Cam2 firmware version 1.15.2, any schedule restrictions you've set on the NVR will also apply when users try log in via the Cam2 application. So this is just another way that Provision ISR is enhancing your security and control over your devices. And this is the last topic, but it's relating to a bug fix. Some users, not all users, some users reported on playback when navigating the timeline, the playback would snap to the incorrect time. So I've got this video from a client who sent it to me with the problem. When this user moves his timeline and drops it at 5:03 or 3 minutes past 5 in the morning, it snaps to 4:40 a.m. When he moves it to another time, call it 11 a.m., it snaps it to 10:52. So it's not snapping to the correct time based on the timeline. Once again, not all users had the same experience, but for those who did have this experience, I want to announce this bug fix with the release of firmware version 115.2, which will resolve this issue. And with that, I want to thank everyone for your time. I hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions, we'll gladly try to answer them now. Please open up your microphone or enter into the chat.
Great. Thank you very much, Ali.